small steps every single day are going to make big waves in the end.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Welcome to the Talk About the Magic podcast, where you'll find inspiration and encouragement tied together with the magic of Disney. Now, here's your host, Joseph Ballesteros.
What is going on, Magic Cheers? Welcome to Talk About the Magic. It's Sunday, meaning we have an awesome interview today. I apologize for the way I sound. This Texas weather is crazy and has knocked me hard with a chest cold. But thank you so much for downloading this podcast. If it's your first time here, please be sure to subscribe. We do podcasts 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, and then an awesome interview show on Sunday. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with a friend. If you already are subscribed and you enjoy the podcast, share it. It helps out the show so much. Today we have Domenica, who is doing so many things. But what really attracted me to getting her on the show was this really big goal that she had that I feel a lot of us have set, especially the ones who don't live near Disney. And for whatever reason, we don't go through with it. But she is actually going through with it. She went in January. She's going this week. Again, she has said she's going to go to Disney every month, once a month. Not to say it's going to be a 10-week vacation, like in January, she was saying she went for, a longer period than what she's going to actually go in February. But the point is she is really doing this, and she's not a millionaire, guys. She actually is very structured on how she's saving her money, how she's finding the discount she needs to find. So besides the fact that it's full of inspiration and encouragement, if you guys are interested in traveling to Disney on the budget, listen to this show and be sure to follow her on her blog as well as her Instagram. On her blog, she's blogging everything she's doing. She's giving some amazing tips. So be sure to follow her there. I'll have all that in the show notes. But without further ado, I'm going to be quiet because I know my voice is probably the worst thing you've heard this morning. And we'll get into our interview with Domenica. Hello, Domenica. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really, really excited to have you. When we first kind of got in contact through Instagram, which, again, guys, is why I say reach out. I love talking with people and everything. I was kind of floored because you told me about this, idea that you had that you were wanting to go for. And then I kind of started, going around to your different Instagram accounts and saw that you actually have an Etsy shop as well. And you're starting your blog to kind of go over everything of your goal of what you're going to be talking about today. But so that got me excited because I'm like, you are doing a lot. That is awesome. But why don't you tell the listeners just a little bit about yourself?
So crazy about Disney, just like so many other people out there. I'm also a mom and a wife, and I have so much going on. I have started my website, but first Disney.com, and I am planning on traveling to Disney once a month. I love Disney. It's been a part of my life for a while now, and yeah.
Now, we're going to get into that because you heard that correctly, guys. Going to Disney once a month. Like, that is intense. I know we all say we want to do that, especially when we're actually at Disney. Like, why can't we just... And let's, clear this up. You don't live near the park. You're not an hour away or 10 minutes away. No, you are pretty far.
No, I am I'm in Delaware, which is right outside of Philadelphia, sort of, about a half hour outside of Philadelphia. So up where it's cold and dreary right now. So yeah, I do not live an hour away, more like 17 or 18 hours away.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not a car hop ride away. It's literally a plane.
No.
Or a plane or a 2-day trip. So, before, because again, we're going to get into this. I think it's, everybody, of course, wants to know, how is she going to do that? So, let's get into, though, real quick, just into your Etsy shop, because, you have reached, over 1,000 sales. How long have you actually been doing Etsy?
Yeah, I just hit my 1,000 sales, so that's exciting. I've been doing Etsy for a little while, so probably about 2.5 years or so. It's really just been such a slow process. It's just been sort of a hobby, I guess, for a while. I started a while ago, and it's just been, a very much of a learning experience. I love the idea of having something that's just mine, learning about all the business aspects that go into it. It's really not just, oh, I made something really cute. Let me see if someone wants to buy it. There's so much more that goes into it. So I loved every aspect of it.
I see. That's something I really respect about you creative people on Etsy, because I look at this stuff that you guys are creating and it just blows me away, because it seems, I know it takes time, it takes practice, you got to get better, but it seems like it's just no, like you guys are just instantly perfectly good at what you're doing.
No,
I know.
no.
I know I can only barely, and not even, do a good job of it, draw a stick figure. So it's like when I see what you guys are able to do. So, why don't you go ahead and give, a little brief background as far as Etsy when you started. How was that experience when you first got into Etsy?
Yeah, so when I first started, I think I sold little like party items that were like Disney themed, and it was completely different than what it is now. It sort of molded its way into sort of a shirt accessories sort of shop. But you're right. We are not perfect, and even the most crafty person out there has had and something that they made where it's like, oh, this is crap. Let me try again. It's not perfect the first time. If it is, I don't know, you're a weirdo. But for me, it was such a learning experience. I can't tell you how many times I had to start over, or I would mess up. And your inventory, it's like, oh, I have 3 shirts, but I just messed one up, and you have to start over, and you have to keep going. So it's such a learning experience to create the item, and then you have to figure out how to sell the item, how to get people to find your item, to want to purchase it, how to ship it properly, how much it weighs. Oh, now I need a scale. So
Now,
there's so much that goes into it.
let's kind of look into that, because I don't do Etsy, but I kind of had the same experience starting the podcast and the website and everything, because you have to obviously make sure you're doing everything correctly, or if not, nobody's going to hear or see you.
Right.
So, how did that feel, and what kind of helped you along the way? I know, for me personally, when I started getting into this, it was just like I was drowning. There's just so much information out there, and unfortunately, sometimes the information isn't necessarily the right information. And so, how was your process? What did you do in case there's an Etsy person who's thinking about joining? They're right there. They got products they want to make, but they're kind of scared when they see, all of the different tools of promising how to make, $1 million on Etsy in a day. So, what was kind of your process to figure it out?
Well, my process was I had to be a little bit realistic. So I work full time. I have 2 kids. This was when I can do this, it will get done. So I had quite a high process time as far as I would make the item and it wouldn't ship for probably about a week or 2. But what I really did to just sort of get it going and get it better, I guess. I am a big fan of Instagram, and I made so many connections and so many friends through Instagram of people who had their own shop. I'm also a big supporter of encouraging and supporting other shops and other small businesses. So I would reach out to them and I would say, this is amazing. How did you do this? How did you make this? With absolute no intention of wanting to copy, of course, but just curious, how do you do this? And they would respond and tell me, thank you so much. This is how I did it. Here's a tip. I would also go on Pinterest a lot. That's a really good place to get a lot of information. Even YouTube, just there's so much out there of how to run the business, how to create the actual item that you're making, how to do it better, how to do it more efficiently. But my biggest movement when I first started was connecting with other shop owners. We would do trades. There's a lot of trading going on Instagram. So I would say, well, you can have a $50 shop credit to my shop, and then I would get a $50 shop credit to their shop, and we would pay for shipping. So that way, if we pay for shipping, we can leave it a review for each other, which is also very helpful. Mm-hmm. So just a few things like that. Connecting with other people is really, really a big step.
And I think, it's one of those things where we hear that a lot, creating a relationship and everything. And it's funny because, I would hear that a lot, like get involved with podcasting community and Disney community. And it was kind of weird for me. It was hard for me to find a good place because I either felt like I was trying to sell too much, or I felt like,
Yeah.
this isn't really what I expected. And like for me personally, Instagram I fell in love with Instagram again. Like, because when I got into this, I was so focused on Facebook, and I built the Facebook page. I used, all of the tools I could think of. And then Facebook's like, well, guess what, guys? You got to pay now if you want people to see what you're doing. You're like, oh.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and then that pushed me toward Twitter, which I really, really enjoy Twitter. But of course, Twitter is a whole different game because, you're on Twitter, you're, seeing so many different tweets from different people constantly. It's really hard to kind of keep up with it. So with Instagram, I was able to find so many people just like yourself who enjoy Disney, who post about Disney, who understand when I say I love Disney or I post about Disney, and it's a
Yeah.
way to really kind of connect. And so like for me, it's Instagram and Twitter. I do Facebook, but I'm not so gun ho anymore for it. And I think it's important to remember that we always try to get into everything, right? We always want to be like,
Right.
we're gonna, I'm gonna take over Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and all of these places. It's like, well, hold on, where are you most comfortable? Because when you're most comfortable in that place, then you can really shine and make yourself, more. You can make yourself more in line with whatever it is you're trying to do. So I think that's interesting because I know a lot of people when they get into this, that's what they're going to hear. They're going to hear, you got to get a Facebook. You got to make sure your Instagram is, Instagram is huge for Etsy people. So you got to make sure you get a big Instagram following, and you're going to want to buy ads. And it's like nothing in the end beats that simple connection of reaching out and saying, hey, you want to work together? You want to do this somehow? And creating that human kind of bond and connection. So thank you for sharing
Yes.
that. I know I spoke for like 30 minutes straight right now, but thank you so much for sharing that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But it's so true. I mean, I still talk to the people who I talked to 2.5 years ago when we first started all of this. I'm still, great friends with them on Instagram. So it's important to get out there and encourage and support everyone else. It's not just about you and your business. Everyone's trying to succeed to that ultimate happiness.
Yeah.
So you got to get out there and encourage and support everyone.
Yeah, you definitely can gain more by helping others than just
Yes.
trying to take from them. So I love that. Okay, so we got you on here to talk about Etsy, but that wasn't the main reason, right? We want to talk
Yeah.
about this incredible goal you have, because the whole point of this podcast is about people who are pursuing their passion, people who are serious about getting up and achieving a goal or a dream. And in your case, it really does speak volumes because, something I always say on here is I'm not saying you have to be an entrepreneur. I'm not saying you have to quit your job tomorrow. And you're not doing that. You have a 9-to-5 job. You have a family, but you have a goal. You have a dream that you said that you wanted to accomplish. And you said, enough's enough. This is the year I'm going to do it. So let's go ahead and get into this. What was your motivation to want to be going to Disney every month?
Well, when I'm there, it's my happy place. I think that's probably the same for many, many other people there, or many other people that love Disney. It's sort of a Zen place. It's where I can recharge. It's where I feel like I am my best self. So I, of course, wanted to get there more often. I'm not in a position where I'm able to move there. My husband has a great job here, so it's not something that we can really do at this moment. So it was sort of a compromise, and I would say, well, that's fine, but I'm going to go there all the time, an obnoxious amount, and that's just how it's going to be. So, and I said it in a joking way, and then I thought, why not? Why not? I've been there so many times. We've gone on almost no money. And I say that, but of course we had to spend money to get there. But, on such a dime, we were so pinched for money, and I've made it work in the past. Why can't I stretch this out to make it work? I have a little bit saved up. So I said, why not? Why not? I knew that I guess the biggest inspiration that I had was there was one person I would follow on my Instagram who seemed to be there all the time. She it just seemed like, gosh, it just seemed like every few weeks she was going there for some event or for just to hang out with a friend or for whatever reason she was going there. And I thought she lived nearby, and come to find out, we fly out of the same airport. So
Wow.
she lives up here. Now, of course, our lives are completely different. She might not have kids. I do. But my ultimate motivation was, if she can do it, why can't I do it? I am the only one stopping me from doing this. So, yeah, I am just going to test myself and see if I can do it.
It's funny because you say this, and again, I know everybody has at least one time or another, especially when they don't live so close, think exactly what you think. Like, you know what, this is going to happen. But of course, then reality comes. People tell us, "Are you crazy? What are you thinking? You can't afford this." All this kind of stuff. So, what was that thing that pushed you through to say, "You know what? I don't care. I don't care if people think this way about me. I don't care if people say that I can't do it. I'm going to figure a way out, and then I'm going to do it." And what was that? What was it that kind of made you go through with it to push you through to that side?
Well, I think that overall, I can see the potential that this could have for me. So this is not just, I just feel like doing it. This is an ultimate ending goal of, I want to be more involved with Disney in some way. So whether it's through a blog and helping others plan trips, or whether it's giving tips to other people, or maybe working with someone down there, there's an ultimate goal at the end. It's not going to be just, well, for this year, I'm just going to go. My ultimate goal is to eventually get there and make this my life and my career. So for now, when reality is there, I have this goal, but it's so much more than just a goal. So I've wanted to, for a long time, figure out what it is that I really am doing with my life. Start making moves towards what you love and what your dreams are. I decided that, I turned 30 and I was going to finally, for once in my life, do something that made me happy. I've, had crazy jobs in the past and things that just don't make me happy. So for once, I'm going to dedicate some time and some effort to myself and really do what I want to do. So I think that was just the inspiration for it.
So I love that, because you actually have an end goal. This isn't something so you can just go get a Mickey bar, every month.
Right. Well, of course I want a Mickey
Of
bar.
course,
But
yeah,
you're
of
right.
course. But you have an end goal. You have a bigger picture in mind, and this is your next stepping stone. That you have to go through, and that's amazing, because I'm kind of in the same position myself. I had an opportunity last year, thanks to the sponsor who we had at the time, to go. And it was a huge deal for me because I was going alone. I wasn't going with my family. And half of me felt really, really guilty. And, but at the same time, it was an amazing experience because I was able to meet people that I had never met before. I got to meet Lou Mangello. I got to meet Corinne. I ran into Corinne. And I saw so many other people that have either been on the show or who I want to get on the show, and because it was during the Food and Wine Festival, so everybody was out. Everybody's doing something, and so it's really an experience that I'd love, and I really want to do that again. And so I completely understand where you're coming from. I think it's important too for the listeners, for Magic Tears listening, that it's maybe your goal isn't to go to Disney every month. But it's important for you to really put that goal in perspective and understand that it's a stepping stone to a bigger goal. Like,
Exactly.
this is my favorite thing. I don't know why I always bring it up. I think it's because I'm trying to guilt myself or something. But let's do weight loss, right? Again, I said I want to lose 60 pounds, till the end of the year. Well, I know that's not going to happen. I know I have to actually work. So every day when I'm pulling out, the treadmill to walk an hour before I can start jogging, before I can start running, Those are all stepping stones to get to my actual goal. And even when I get to that
Mm-hmm.
goal, that's just going to open the door up for even a better goal, get me to another place I want to be. So it's important for you guys to understand it doesn't have, I know we're doing Disney, but it doesn't have to be something as big as this. It can be something minor, maybe in other people's eyes or even to yourself, but you got to achieve it. You got to go. And it's funny because you mentioned how you just turned 30. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I
Thanks.
turned older than that, but it's funny because I realize now, being the age I am, like, man, why didn't I start sooner? I could have done
Yeah,
this, 2 years ago. If I would have started 2 years ago, I would have been in a whole different spot now. And so that's why it's so important to get up and do, because before you know it, you'll be 35, 37, 38, 45, and you just think, man, I can't do it now. I'm too old. Or even
yeah,
worse, you start and you're just like, I'm running out of time, and you're not going to be able to get it in time. So, yeah, I just get inspired because, like I said, your a goal that you have here is just so big in so many levels, and it's awesome. You're
it
actually doing
is.
it, and you actually are doing it. You did travel in January,
Yeah,
and
I did.
that was your first. That's a big, huge first step. Most people don't even get past the first step. So
I know.
congratulations, and you have plans to
Thank
go
you.
again this month.
Yeah, I'm going next week. Yep,
That is awesome. So
which
okay,
is which is so exciting.
yeah, I was about to say, I can only imagine how fun this is for you. And again, guys, keep in mind, she didn't go alone in January. You went with your son, correct?
I did, yes. I went with my son. His name's Max. He's 7, so it's always an adventure going with him. I'm pretty sure he's more of a Disney fan than the two of us combined.
So, but talk about having reasons to not go. I mean, you're like, well, what about, I'm going to take my son? That's another ticket. That's another, airline
Yeah.
ticket. That's more food. That's more. So let's go ahead and get into the part I'm sure people really are interested in. How are you doing this? How have you been able to plan and structure to accomplish your goal?
Well, like I said earlier, I have gone quite a few times. And, I've never been one that's had so much money that we can afford to really do Disney, in an expensive way. So I've really tried to find ways every time I go to save a little more. So I think it's sort of in a way broken down into categories. So in my head, so I have my flights. How can I get my flights cheap? How can I get my hotels cheap? How can I get my food cheap? What's the best value overall? So for me personally, I had an annual pass last year. I sort of, I guess, maybe tested the waters on this idea. So I went, I think, 5 times last year. Um, and I had the annual pass last year. So if you think about it, is that the best value for you? Are you going to be going enough that it would make sense to get the annual pass? You also have to remember, with an annual pass, you get things like 20% off right now on merchandise, and almost all the restaurants, you're getting 20% off. So that's a big deal when you're traveling quite a few times. And you also have to remember that you get special discounts on rooms when you're an annual pass holder. So sometimes it's worth it to just go ahead and do the annual pass. So that's sort of the ticket side and the little bit of the hotel side. Another tip for the hotel side is, if you travel during the middle of the week, it's going to be cheaper than if you go on a weekend. If you can swing it with work, it's so much better to go a Sunday night through a Thursday night. It's going to be maybe, I don't know, it's different per night, but maybe $20 cheaper per night or $10 cheaper per night. Over time, all these little things add up. So then you have to look at I guess, food. Um, we
So much
we
stuff.
There's so much. There's so much. We were huge fans of the dining plan until my son was born, and then that magical age of 3 when you have to pay for children to go to Disney.
Right.
It wasn't worth it. So we decided that he wasn't eating the amount of food that we were paying for with the dining plan.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to figure out other ways. We set a budget of how much we wanted to spend on food, and we would put it on a gift card, and it still had that all-inclusive feel that we had a dining plan, but instead it was on a gift card, and we could, if we didn't feel like an appetizer that night, we didn't have to get it because it wasn't included in, it wasn't a dining plan, so we didn't have to get it.
Now,
Things like that, or dessert, or
now speaking
things like
about
that.
the dining plan, you did mention something to me about it was just genius, and I maybe I just don't think this way, and that's why I was blown away. But so an idea you said actually was using Amazon to have your food delivered at the resort.
Yes, yes, I'm a huge fan of Amazon Prime, and even if you don't have Amazon Prime, you can order, I think it's called Prime Pantry, and you can fill up a box of food and just have it shipped to the resort. I personally have not done this. I'm gonna give you a little secret there. I have not done this, but I know a lot of people who have, and they just have it shipped there. It's there waiting for them. They pick it up at the front desk, and you have a whole huge box of snacks and food throughout the week. And now you don't have to, sometimes you don't even have to buy lunch. For us, we bring Cliff Bars and breakfast bars, dry stuffed chips and goldfish, and we snack all day. And we might get a few things, an apple here and there. But a lot of
Well,
times we'll save so much money by not buying lunch and having a large dinner.
I was gonna say, because you're saving so much money, you can really afford to take that apple now and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing when people go to Disney. Obviously, they want to get all the little keepsakes and they want to get all the cool snacks and treats, especially if you're going during something like food and wine. But that's so true. I mean, if you take like the dining plan for us is a must, because now our kids are old enough to eat their share of food. But you're right. Like for us, we always think about that and we always do that. But when I went alone, I had never realized how much money you could use there. And I always say to do this, and I made the hugest mistake because I didn't even follow my own advice. I bought water there. And I bought, yeah, exactly. Every bottle was $3. It was so humid, and I was just like, bottle water. And I realized, I think I spent almost $70 probably worth on water, and it's ridiculous.
Oh, no, this hurts my heart.
I know, it's terrible, but it's funny because that's why this is so important to me about you being able to share all this stuff, especially on your blog and everything, because that's such an amazing tip. I have used Amazon and for the delivery. And they do a great job. It is fantastic. It is so easy to use. They, you know, bring it in within the 2 to 4 hours, depending what you want. And they'll either leave it at your door or they'll drop it off with you. So in this case, I can only imagine them doing the same thing, doing a great job. And so to me, when you said that and you told me that, I was just like, that is genius. Like, why wouldn't she use Amazon? I mean, that's like, why are you getting Amazon Prime? Oh, because I'm going to Disney. I mean, it makes sense. So to me, when you know, those are the tricks that I'm really like blown away by.
Yes, there's so many too. I mean, there's my head is full of things that we've done in the past. Another small little example is Target. So if you have a Target card, you save 5% on anything you purchase if it's set up to your bank account. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times what we'll do, it's not a huge savings, but it's a good chunk, is we'll buy Disney gift cards at Target and we'll get 5% off. So it's not a huge difference, but I mean, it's a lot when you get up to, $1,000, $2,000. So,
exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's, it's another one that we've done in the past. And all that is not even including airfare. Which is probably where a lot of my tips come from.
I was about to say
cheap airfare.
Yeah, how do you do the airfare? Because for us, we have flown Southwest. I know there's different airlines out there, but we just one year, the first year we went, we just picked Southwest because at the time it was the only one we found that was going direct, and we've never strayed from there. So how do you do this? Because I know the flight is one of the most expensive things, if not the most expensive thing, when you are going to Disney. So how are you able to manage this?
Well, my airline of choice is Frontier. I'm pretty loyal with them. I just have never had a bad experience, and I always seem to get really, really good prices. So my first tip is they have a program called Discount Den. So you pay $50 for the year, and it renews every year. but you get their discounted flight prices. So if you're flying frequently, it's worth it. If you're only flying once a year, maybe not worth it. But like, for example, they might have a ticket on sale for $50, but for their discount people, it's 35. So multiply that
Wow.
by 2, and then over, a few times throughout the year, round trip, it really adds up. So it's really,
Wow.
really worth it if
Now,
you're flying frequently.
okay, this is huge. Like, that is really big. That can save people literally
Yeah.
thousands of dollars. So
Yeah.
how is their airline? Because I know that's the other thing people get scared about. Obviously a lot of people already, as it is, are not very confident when it comes to flying in a big metal tube. But with airlines like Southwest and everything, they have so much that they can rely on as far as their background proving that they are safe and all that kind of stuff. So how about this airline? How have you enjoyed it? Is it good? Is it like, what? I'm doing it just because I'm going to Disney, but I would never take it, anywhere else.
Well, I have never had a problem. So most of these aircrafts are brand new. Frontier is growing like crazy, which is another reason I like to fly with them. Is all their aircrafts are pretty much brand new. At least the ones flying out of Philly, anyway. So yeah, there's not going to be a lot of extra things, I guess I should say. So they don't have the TVs on the back of the seat, and they don't recline. And I don't know if I would take Frontier over to Europe, but for my 2-hour flight down to Orlando, it does the trick for sure. I've always had great flight attendants, and I've told you this earlier, but I've only been delayed once, and it has nothing to do in reflection of them. So, yeah, I mean, it's great because you have sort of an add-on option with Frontier. So you purchase the actual ticket of your flight, and then if you are the person that maybe doesn't need a whole lot of luggage, you don't have to pay for that. So if you just can travel with a backpack that will fit under the seat in front of you, you don't pay anything for baggage. Those are the things that add up with the other airlines. For Southwest, for example, they give you 2 free checked bags. I don't know what I would take to Disney in 2 huge checked bags. I don't know what I would bring. That's way too much room for me.
Yeah.
The other thing, if you wanted to sit towards the front of the plane, you pay extra for that. Little things here and there like that don't matter to me. That's how I get there so inexpensive. I mean, I think that my record with Frontier is $30 round trip.
Oh my
So
goodness. Get out of here. No way.
Yeah, that was a while ago, but for February I got I think I paid around $40 round trip.
Oh my gosh.
So, and that's coming up next week. So
And that's
they're
insane.
out there.
Like, that's insane, because you look right now for even 5 months from now on a Southwest or American, it's $200-$300 sometimes. I mean, and that's just for going. That's not for both. That is, oh my gosh, now that is huge. Like, you're saying,
I was very proud of that.
That is amazing. That's amazingly awesome. So
Yeah.
if you're listening to this and you're thinking about going to Disney, yeah, Frontier may be the way to go, at least for now, if you're going by yourself, especially. That's so cool.
And they're expanding. I don't think they fly out of every, airport. They're getting there. But, it might be worth it. For me, I live in between, I'm closer to Philadelphia Airport, but I could technically go to Baltimore Airport. But Frontier doesn't fly out of Baltimore. So it's another thing to look at. What other airports are in your area? Maybe they fly out of that airport.
Yeah, like I said, I know it's an iffy thing for people because they're so nervous already as it is. But just do some research, guys. There's somebody who's put a video out on YouTube already somehow, somewhere. I mean, people YouTube all the time,
Yeah.
so I'm sure if you just YouTube, Frontier or whatever airline you're looking to get, review, you'll find some kind of feedback of how it was. So.
I've never had a bad experience.
That
Yeah.
is so cool. Like, I'm gonna go book tickets right now. I'll see you there next week. No,
Okay, great.
that is so awesome. Okay, so being that you're doing all this, you're planning to blog everything, of course. let's get
Yeah.
into that. How are you staying motivated? Because you got family, you got a job,
Yes.
you're still doing your
Mm-hmm.
Etsy,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing this blog, and you're going to Disney once a month now. So, what are you kind of putting? What are you telling yourself? What is your mindset like to go through with all this?
Um, I I think what works for me is to set small goals. So if I look at the picture of where I want to be in 5 years, I'm just gonna have this thought in my head of I'm never gonna get there. It's never gonna be possible. But if I can say, well, I have to find cheap airfare for March, then I can do that. That's an attainable goal for me. I have to be able to set my small goals.
Mm-hmm.
Along with that, along with my small little goals here and there for Etsy and for my blog and for my family, I still have to go to work. I still have to pick the kids up from daycare and school, and it's really difficult to manage everything. But you have to make it work. When you want something badly enough, you figure out a way. You figure it out. It's really hard to explain because I will sacrifice my sleep so that I can make sure that my orders look great, or make sure that this article is typed up properly. I But that's what you do when you love something so much. You will sacrifice sleep in order to get it done.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot of time.
I love that because it's so important. Well, yeah, I mean, but you have the same amount of time as we all do, right? And that's what's so important. You have to balance everything. And I know it's harsh sounding, guys, but that's so true. Figure it out. Like, you have to figure it out. If you want it, figure it
Yeah.
out. The worst thing that you can do is make excuses over and over, because honestly, those just don't cut it. People like Domenica are proving that those excuses don't cut it because she's doing it. So, like, I love that because, like I said, I know it doesn't sound nice. Where I know you want to hear the fluffy duffy kind of like, well, you just gotta really kind of try and you gotta figure it out. You want it, figure it
I
out.
know. I know. I feel like Tiana. You can't just wish on a star. You have to put some hustle in it.
Yep,
You gotta
it's so
go.
true. All right, so let's get into now the Disney Power Round.
And now it's time for the Disney Power Round, where we talk favorite parks, tips, and tricks for your magical Disney trip. Let's bibbity bobbity do this.
Where is your favorite park, and what is one thing you love about it?
Oh, I have to say Magic Kingdom. I think Epcot is very close second, but I just love Magic Kingdom. I think that I love it the most because I have so many wonderful milestone memories there. My husband proposed to me there, right in front of the castle. We've taken pictures on our honeymoon there. We've taken pictures with my son and now my daughter. Big family trips, my parents. So I think that's one thing I love about it the most is that I have so many major memories standing in front of that castle, taking photos, adding one family member here and there. It's just really special to me for that reason.
And that's so true. Like, in the end, when people ask, why do you want to go to Disney? What's so good about Disney? I think that really is the best answer to give. It really is about the memories you create. I know that we are literally created to forget because we get older and our brains get slower, and before you know it, what was your name again? So I think that's why I love these kind of things with Disney, because they have these memories you're able to create and you're able to share and keep, and not just that, you can actually share it from generation. I mean, my great grandkids can see pictures of me, and their grandparents at Disney. You know what I mean? And that's incredible. That's so cool. And it's one of the things I really, really love about Disney. So what would you then say for that person who's going to Disney for the first time? What would be your tip for them?
This one is tough. It's been a while since my first visit, so it's hard to remember back to what what was going through your mind when you saw all that information in front of you. But I think I would probably say do a little research as far as attractions, which ones sound the most important to you, which ones sound so awesome, and try to do those. I know a lot of people say, don't do too much, don't overload yourself. I say go for it. Go for it, but sort of have in your mind what you want to do most. So, if you have teenagers, you might not want to sit through the Finding Nemo show at Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
So, things like that. You might want to go wait for Everest or go on, the rapids. So I would say do a little research, figure out what's most important to you and your family, and try to do those things. But yeah, I'm all for doing as much as you possibly can and coming home and being exhausted, but you had an amazing time.
That's true. Yes, you don't go to Disney for vacation, guys. You go to
No.
vacation after Disney. That is so
Yes.
true. You will be exhausted. I agree with that as well. I mean, it is important for you to plan and then make sure to execute. But what would you then say for the person who goes to Disney multiple times?
I would probably say, I think the biggest tip that I would say is to stop planning. So one of my favorite things to do, and I did this recently sort of by accident, I said to my son, I said, you know what? What do you want to do today? He was asking me if we could go to Animal Kingdom, and he really wanted to go, but we had plans to go somewhere else. And I said, you know what? All right, I've been here quite a few times. I don't need to go to Hollywood Studios today. You want to go to Animal Kingdom? Let's go. Let's go. So my tip would be to say, stop planning. If it's just a fast pass, cancel it. Do it another time. Do what you want to do that day. If you feel like being in Epcot, go walk World Showcase.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best tip I could give to someone.
I think that's the first time we had a tip like that, which is, who cares? Stop planning. Go have fun now.
Yeah.
You're going so much.
Yeah.
Have some fun. That's so true, because we get in this whole mindset of like, I have to. And it's like, yeah, okay, I understand you're there, but also live in the moment. Like, things happen, and that's awesome. You do that for your son. And obviously with my kids, if that was to happen, I hope I would do the same thing and not yell at them and say, no. But I understand, I understand people get really into their schedule because, they've paid so much money and they're here. But it's important to remember, like, it really is about those memories. And something I know that you mentioned that you love, and I truly love as well, is the memory maker, the photo that they have.
Oh, yes.
I think, like, if you are going to splurge on anything, I think that's the one thing you should always splurge in. Because you don't have to care. You can just take all the pictures you want. They have them at Disney Springs, at every park. And you mentioned something that I did not know. Where do they have these photo people?
They are at the water parks, and they're in the best locations. They must have the best job. The one I saw was sort of, I forget what it's called, but it's the lazy river that goes all the way around the park.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just standing there, and he was, up to his waist, and he's just had his camera, and he was taking everybody's photo. And I mean, how many pictures do you have in a water park?
That's so
I don't
cool.
know about you, but I don't have very many. And that is, you're right. It's probably one of the best tips I can give to someone who doesn't go very often or it's their first time. Spend the money, get the memory maker. It's going to be amazing quality photos, and you get all of them. You can just download all of them to your computer. Really, really worth it.
Yeah, it is really worth it. And like I mentioned before about getting so old, that's something I look forward. I don't look forward to getting that old, but I'm saying that's something I appreciate. The fact that you're able to download these things, and now they have video as well that they give you. When you're on the rides, and like I said too, you can use it in Disney Springs. We went to the Coca-Cola store, and we had the funnest time visiting the polar bear there. And what's funny is I didn't know he was there. On Facebook you'll see videos where people there and stuff. So when we went, we didn't know he was there, and we found out no, he's pretty much there every day from this time to this time. And so we went, and he bit my head. He played with the kids, and We have pictures of that now because they were taking the pictures there, and we have the memory maker. So we have a picture in front of the Christmas tree that was at Disney Springs. So it's something that I always say, like, yes, that is the one thing I won't do without. I'm sorry, iPhone. I don't care how pretty your pictures look. It's different
Yes,
when
I
they're
know.
able to do it. So
Yep.
that is huge for me.
And a camera is just another thing you have to lug around through the park. That's a whole other topic.
That is true.
We all bring way too much to the parks. So leave the camera, get Memory Maker.
That is true. They really are at the prime spots. You're really not going to miss. And then they're in spots that you didn't know. I know when we went, when we were doing it, we were trying to find all the character spots, and we had just met with Jack Skellington or Sandy Claus, and we were leaving the character spot, and there's a person with a camera, and we're like, can you take a picture? And they're like, yeah. So they took our picture. It's perfect because the castle was right there behind. We didn't know, though, that this was a special spot where, you hold your hand out and they do something. So like in ours,
Oh, yeah.
we have Zero, the dog, the ghost dog. He's there with us. And so those little things, we went to when we were at Hollywood Videos. Oh, R.I.P. Hollywood Videos. Hollywood Studios. I used to work at Hollywood Videos. Hollywood Studios, where we went, we had on our picture we have Jesse and Woody. They come running around, and so it's those things where I'm just like, yes, it's so worth it to invest in that. So before we before we sign off here, please, for the love of all that's good, share with everybody where they can follow and find out more because. Like, I think you've given, like, I honestly, like, I try to find all these little tips and tricks, not just for my podcast, but also for myself, for when I go. You literally, with those 2 tips, have, like, blown away everything I've ever read. So, go ahead and please share with everybody all your information, because I know they would love to follow to get more, find out more secrets and follow you along your journey.
Yeah, I have my website. It's a baby, so be kind. It's brand new. So that's butfirstdisney.com. I also have my shop, which is minnieschicboutique.com. Along with those, I have my Instagram. So butfirstdisney, at Minnie's Chic Boutique. And then I also have my Twitter and Periscope, which are both the same of at butfirst_Disney. And my email, butfirstdisney@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, But First Disney on Facebook. And just message me, talk to me. If you take time to talk to me, I'll take time to reply. I love answering questions. I can't get enough people in my life who I can talk to Disney about. So, or talk about Disney about with. And, I would love to connect with as many people as I can.
For sure, yeah. I follow your Instagram. I just got something in my throat all of a sudden. Excuse me. But I also follow your Mini Chic Boutique now. So there's so much stuff on the Instagram. Of course, you have stories that you share too as well. So before we do sign off, though, I always like to let the guests kind of give some words of inspiration. And wow, it sounds like I'm crying over here. Excuse me. Let's get that out of here. I don't know what's going on with my throat. Okay, I think I'm better now. But I always
need some Disney magic.
I know, right? I gotta get over there now. I gotta go to book Frontier. I always like to let the guests, share some inspiration and some, just encouragement for everyone listening, because I like getting people like you on because everybody has a different background. Everybody has a different story. And with those stories, everybody has their own excuses. Everybody has their own reasons to not pursue. And that's why I love having you guys on, because like I said, you're proving that in the end, those excuses aren't valid. You can still do it. So, what would you tell somebody who is, maybe they're wanting to get into Etsy, maybe they're wanting to travel more, maybe they're wanting to start their own blog, but what would you tell them? Whatever their goal is, whatever it is they're trying to achieve, they're on that little fence of, should I stay comfortable? Should I stay quote unquote safe? Or should I try and actually do something toward my goal? what would be something that you would
Yeah.
like to share with them?
I would say take the leap, go for it, do it. Um, it's it's a hard journey. It's not easy. I will never tell someone that this is easy. Um, if you want something badly enough, you're going to do everything you can to get it, and you can't give up. You have to keep going. Ignore all of the negativity around you. Do not listen to them. If you listen to them, it will bring you down, and you can't have that. I think it's so important to take small steps every day, at least one small step, even if it's just posting a photo on Instagram, or commenting on someone else's photo, or whether, if let's say if you have an Etsy shop, just post one new item. Small steps every single day are going to make big waves in the end, and you'll get there. It's going to take time. It's probably not going to happen overnight, which is one thing I had the most trouble with. I'm very impatient. I want things now, and that is a huge learning experience for me. But yeah, it's just going to take time. Keep going. You cannot give up. You have to keep going and ignore all of the negativity around you.
Love that. I don't think I can say anything to make that better. So I'll just follow along with what Walt said, and that's so true. It started with the mouse. He's not saying because he wants you guys to respect, mice and everything like that. I'm not saying that, but he's saying it because it started with the smallest thing. And I think that is what's so incredible. With the smallest thing came this huge thing. And so you're right. Take those small steps, and eventually you'll get to where you want to be. And of course, you'll be able to take bigger ones. So that was awesome. And thank you again, Domenica. I know, for everyone listening, we had trouble again with my software, but we fixed it now. I think we'll see. If you're hearing this, it worked. And
Round two, it was fine.
Yeah, and I really do want to just thank you again for coming on and sharing your information. And guys, please make sure to go follow Domenica on everything, her accounts, and support her for what she's doing. It's an awesome goal. It's awesome. It's inspiring to me because, like I said, if she did it, so can I. So thank you so much for coming on, Domenica, and I really hope you guys just enjoy the rest of this year as you go every month. I'm going to be following you along through the power of social media. So thank you again for taking the time out to talk to me and everyone else listening.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Those small steps really are what make the difference. I know it's exciting. We get pumped and we think it needs to happen now. It needs to happen now. And honestly, it's better it doesn't. Those small steps are important because it's in those small steps that you'll get those hiccups. You'll get those trials and tribulations, but you'll learn how to deal with them. When you get something so immediate, you don't know how to deal with the success. You don't know how to deal with what you have. So these small steps are literally like training wheels. They're teaching you along the way. I really hope you had a wonderful, wonderful experience listening to the show today. I know Domenica is, she's a new inspiration for me because of what she's doing. I think it's an amazing thing. Awesome. So again, go please be sure to go follow her. And guys, if you want to support the show, be sure to share the show with your friends and family, because in the end, that's what it's about. We want to get inspiration and encouragement to everyone that we can to start pursuing their goal and dream today instead of waiting. Get to work on your small steps now. Have a great night, day, weekend, whenever you're listening to this. And as always, stay magical.
This was the Talk About the Magic podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay magical.